This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Wolf Wolf, good morning to you. And I believe that this weekend has been kind of a surreal weekend. It has been a rainy, bad weather weekend, dreary as you will, which is difficult enough on the psyche. I think we're going to have plenty of people out there suffering from that seasonal adjustment disorder, or whatever it's called. And of course, the shootings that occurred in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, also made everybody feel ill, physically, mentally. Everybody deals with it differently. I could not watch the non-stop coverage of it. So I would check out, then I would check back in, let things develop, because they say things over and over and over again. So I found that if you tune in every like 12 hours, you would catch up with what was going on relative. And it's the story that dominates the news coverage. And of course, you can expect me to cover it here. And I will cover it here. However, my coverage might be a little bit different, as you might imagine. And I'm going to go ahead and start the show with it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. And I will repeat this again because, as we all know, people generally listen to the radio about 18 minutes. The well-intentioned and misguided are already blaming guns. And I would just like to point out some facts. I am amazed at the non-stop coverage which I saw. There was no reference or mention that there was not an officer or school official, a school resource officer in that Connecticut school with a gun. And I ask you this, was there a gun in the possession of a school official in Virginia Tech? No. Was there someone in the Colorado movie theater with a gun? No. All three of these jackwagons were mentally ill and possessed by evil. And who could have stopped them before their killing began, or before they killed so many, except someone with a gun? Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, the answer is we have to allow the trained possessors of firearms wherever there are innocents. Schools, churches, hospitals, colleges, everywhere. For example, I can break this down very pragmatically. In a classroom, underneath the desk, side of a desk, elementary school, that you can have a gun, and guess what? They have locks. They've got locks with codes, 1, 2, 3, 396, whatever your code is. Which might be hard when you think about it relative to, hey, you know, in a panic. But you know what? I think most of these teachers could handle that. You got a gun locked in the school, under the desk, boom. You go in there, 5, 6, 9, boom, gun, shoot. Protect. It's the only way you stop or reduce these events from happening. Excuse me for a minute while I mock the school districts of America. All these cameras, restricted doors, restricted access, so forth and so on. You know what they do a good job of? Stopping people from absconding with children, kidnapping kids, custody battles. They do a good job of handling that. But guess what? This killer blasted through a side window with a gun. That's what most of them do. They don't follow the rules. A teacher or school official or school resource officer would have stopped them faster than a 911 call with a 10 or 15 minute response time. And all the calls for a national conversation and more bad policy does not prevent these attacks. Good God, Senator Dermot Durbin said he wants to have a hearing on the Second Amendment. Good golly. And you know what? What does this mean? How do we explain this? How do we understand this? Makes me scream. You know what it means? You know how you get through it? It doesn't mean anything except this. This is a disgusting, sick, evil, terrible tragedy that makes all of us sick. And how do the victims and victim families and communities get through it? I'll tell you how they get through it. Anyone who's lost a loved one to a tragic accident or crime knows you have no choice. You just do it. You find purpose and you carry on. And if you don't find a purpose or reason to carry on, you either check out or recede in the depths of depression. There's no freaking meaning to a mass murder of children. There isn't anything to understand. There isn't any God in it. Let me tell you something, folks. I remember standing in a hospital room when a doctor says, your wife has lung cancer. I was going out the door to do a radio show when I heard my wife scream. She got a phone call that her son was being air carried to University Hospital from a tragic car accident, and he died. And my wife died of cancer, and I had 3 little kids. The horror of it all. Many of you have experienced it. Many of you experienced it. So what do? You freaking carry on. You find purpose, you find meaning, you carry on. If you don't, you're screwed. God bless those poor parents and siblings and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins, relatives, friends, and classmates in the community. And you know what they need to do? They just need to be angry. They need to be sad. They need to cry out. They need to wallow in their grief, bury their loved ones, pray, be hugged, love. And yes, many will need specialized medical treatment to get through it. They will never be the same. They will have to find purpose and reason to carry on. And my guess, those with other children will find purpose to carry on because the other children need them. My wife says she would have checked out if she didn't have 2 other kids. That's how bad her pain is. Never going to be the same. May God and the community comfort them even when there are no words, deeds, or means to comfort them. And may the shooter burn in freaking hell, mentally ill or not. I happen to be someone who believes that hell is reserved for serial killers, mass killers, pedophiles, rapists, murders, and the like, and I think I'm right, and I hope I'm right. And Barack Obama, in his words last night, some good, some bad, and he's talking about we need to change things, I thought to myself, what have you done, sir, for Chicago? What have you done in Chicago where people, and this number of people, die on weekends? On weekends. The answer is not less guns. The answer is let people protect themselves wherever they shall be. And you know, here's my words of comfort. Vashlis. Even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart until in our own despair, against our will, come wisdom through the awful grace of God. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. It's the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, I hope that you enjoyed your weekend on this dreary, bad news weekend, regardless of all that's going on in the world. You know what? These tragedies kind of connect us just like other things connect us. But certainly, these tragedies connect us. Today in history, in 1821, Kentucky abolished debtors' prisons. That was a good move. And this is a real big day in history, a real big issue. Wilbur and Orville Wright conducted the first successful manned airplane flight. How do you like that? The first flight today in history. The Beatles in 1962 made their first British TV appearance. It's called People and Places. 1976, the TBS Superstation Atlanta went national. And in 1989, the longest running American sitcom, The Simpsons, had its debut. How do you like that? The Simpsons. By the way, over the weekend I saw the movie Ted on DirecTV. I heard all these things about Ted, you know, the real life teddy bear movie. A lot of it sucked. I saw The Bourne Legacy. I thought that was good. Somebody told me that wasn't very good. I like The Bourne Legacy. Today's famous birthdays. Manny, I got knocked out finally, Pacquiao, 34. His wife says retire, he says no. Bill Pullman, the actor's 59. Remember from Independence Day? Bill Pullman. And I tell you right now, you got something from Pullman? I thought he was a lousy president in that movie. Nah, shut up, Bill Pullman. I wish we had a clip from Eugene Levy. Now, he was funny. He's the American Pie dad. Eugene Levy. And then we got Chris, I'm a Jack Wagon Matthews, Mr. Tingle on his leg, who is 67 years old. Good old Chris Matthews. It's National Maple Syrup Day. If you want some pancakes, eat some pancakes. And I'm very sad to report we lost 3 soldiers. Marine Sergeant Michael J. Guillory, 28, of Pearl River, Louisiana. He was killed in Afghanistan. Army Staff Sergeant Nelson D. Trent, 37, of Austin, Texas, also killed in Afghanistan. And Army Staff Sergeant Nicholas J. Reed, 26, of Rochester, New York, also killed in Afghanistan. And God bless the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the National Guard, and all those who fight to protect the United States of America. Today's forecast: scattered thunderstorms, partly cloudy tomorrow, and Wednesday partly cloudy. So the dreariness is going to continue. That's just the way it is. There is just simply no other way to avoid the weather. When you've got bad weather, you've got bad weather. Interesting facts. I want to say this right now. These are outstanding facts. You know what? When hippos are upset, they sweat. Their sweat turns red. I know you didn't know that. And how about this, Garrett? A flock of crows is known as a murder. Yeah, a flock of crows is known as a murder. Henry VIII slept with a gigantic axe behind him. He was ready. The average woman uses her height and lipstick every 5 years. Wow. The 29th day of May is put a pillow on your fridge day. I don't get that, but there you have it. Human saliva has a boiling point 3 times that of regular water. Now, if you're a goat, or you want to be like a goat, billy goats urinate on their heads to smell more attractive to females. Have you ever thought about peeing on yourself to smell more attractive to females, Garrett?
You know, I need something to bust this slump, so maybe I'll give that a try this weekend.
By the way,
did you ever hear about the guys that in like Major League Baseball, they used to pee on their hands?
No, I did not. I never heard of that before.
There's guys that still do it. It like, I guess, helps the callus.
I got to ask you this question. I went to one of my daughter's best buddies' graduation parties on Saturday night. She's graduated from Northern with a communications and marketing degree. She is 22, 23 years old. She is attractive, very attractive, was an NKU cheerleader.
Whoa.
Is the cheerleading coach for Simon Kenton High School, and she's looking for a job. And I was thinking minimum wage starting out, traffic
reporter,
and all those other marketing things that she needs to do for us.
But we all know,
and you might find
side plot.
You might find your wife. She's single, no boyfriend.
I'd say
because
start
she's
tomorrow.
All right, we might ever start tomorrow. The person who invented the Frisbee was cremated and made into Frisbees. Don't ask me. During your lifetime, you will produce enough saliva to fill 2 swimming pools. And an eagle can kill a young deer and fly away with it. And finally, polar bears can eat as many as 86 penguins in a single sitting. 80s. God, you'd have to have a, upset stomach.
Fat-ass polar bear if you're putting away 86 penguins.
And William's big question of the day: do rainy days depress you or make you a philosopher? They make you both. Because philosophers are bad. You know what? When you're depressed or melodramatic, you're a better philosopher. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, when we come back, I got a great short joke to cheer you up. So I'm going to cheer you up. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. This is Bruce Springsteen. There's better days ahead, folks, on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Let me get into my joke mode. One night, an 87-year-old woman came home from bingo a little bit early and found her 92-year-old husband in bed with another woman. The 87-year-old woman became violent and ended up pushing the 92-year-old husband off the balcony of their 20th floor apartment. Brought before the court on the charge of murder, she was asked by the court if she had anything to say in her defense. Your Honor, she began coolly, I figured there at 92, if he could have sex, he must be able to fly. I like that joke. That joke is funny. Pop culture, The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey. 84.8 million, highest December gross ever. But I got to just say something. Chuck Holbrook saw it, and he said it's 2 hours and 45 minutes long. I was going to go see it with my son Saturday, and he canceled on me. He wanted to see it on Sunday, and when I found out it was 2 hours and 45 minutes, I never asked him to bring it up again, and I just never had to go see it. And I'm not going to go see it. 2 hours and 45 minutes.
It's about what those Lord of the Rings movies were. Each one.
Were they really?
3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah, I'll go see it with my boy. I guess I'll go.
What'd you see this weekend? Anything?
Yes, I saw, what was the name of it? Something Wallflowers. Great movie.
Perks of Being a Wallflowers.
Yeah, Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah, great movie.
Perks of Being a Wallflower. Jake agrees it's a great movie. We saw it at the Florence Danbury Theater because it's already come and gone at the Esquire. I'm telling you right now, great movie.
Yeah.
One of the best movies I've seen all year.
Yeah.
And thank God it ended the way it did and not the way I thought it was going to end. That's what I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just glad it didn't end the way I thought it was going to end. And by the way, you're always talking about Lindsay Lohan. You know, she's scheduled for jail time. She's attended a party at New York City Friday night thrown by Healthy Lifestyle magazine, Organize Your Life. That's funny. You got to admit, that's kind of funny.
That's ironic, yeah.
In some local news, Rob Portman gave the commencement address at the University of Cincinnati winter exercise. Now, is Rob Portman an important person? Absolutely. Is Rob Portman a good man? Absolutely. Is the Portman family a family of Cincinnati? Iconic, of course. Oh, yes, they are. Can Rob Portman deliver an enthusiastic, arousing, inspirational commencement speech? I doubt it. If anybody graduated from UC this week, and I would like to hear from you about your commencement exercise. It's been so long since I've given out the number. 513, is it 209?
Yeah.
209-8891, right?
201.
201-8891. 513. I want to hear if you've heard from, if Rob Portman gave a good speech, because I have a hard time believing it. I just do. Todd and Michelle Bacon are asking for privacy, but released a statement about the death of their niece, 6-year-old Charlotte Bacon. The family will forever remember her beautiful smile, her energy, life, and the unique way she expressed her individuality, usually in the color of pink. Todd works at Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, and Michelle's a pastor at Montgomery Presbyterian Church. And God bless that family.
Lost her in the Connecticut shooting.
Yep. 71-year-old man in Brown County was called police after he shot and killed his own son, believed to be in his early 40s. Jeez, oh Pete. 53-year-old William Bowling was killed when he was struck by a vehicle driven by 36-year-old Sheila Ray of Williamstown Saturday evening. Ray said she was unable to avoid Bowling due to oncoming traffic, and police said she was not intoxicated. All right. Kentucky lawmakers are unhappy with Tax Reform Commission recommendations. By the way, speaking of Kentucky, I'm going to reach over here and grab an article that I read in the Lexington Herald Leader yesterday. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is scary. There once was a man named Harry Caudell, and he was a Letcher County native, and he published a book that was called Night Comes to the Cumberlands, a biography of a depressed area. And the bottom line is he wrote a book way back when in the 60s about Appalachia and how poor they were. And this was his cause. And he put together pictures. And there's a picture of a coal miner's child attending school barefoot in Harlan County in 1946. And he brought international attention to the region's struggles. I mean, he publicly blamed the operators and crooked courthouse bosses for the region's troubles. But get this. This is incredible. Caudle privately told friends that he had come full circle in my thinking and have reluctantly concluded that poverty is largely genetic in origin and is largely irreducible. And he got onto this eugenics kick where he was actually saying that there was time for sterilization of what he referred to as imbeciles. He said 3 generations of imbeciles is enough. Wow. But this story in the Lexington Herald was, I mean, it shocked me. But it was basically about, hey, you're never going to change it. Kind of defeatist from a guy who specialized in bringing attention to it. Man, I don't know if I could give up. I don't know if I could give up. I'm one of these people that just says it's all about jobs. Give them jobs, and the world will be okay. Maybe that's naive of me. All right, in sports over the weekend, lots of things going on in Ohio State. And I got to give Oracle status to my new client, Andrew Filson, who's a big Ohio State Buckeye fan. I visited him in the hospital. I tell you right now, we got to root for Ohio State, who beat UNC Nashville 90-72. I'm going to give Oracle status to Andrew. Butler in Indiana beat #1 Indiana 88-86. Uh-oh, Hoosiers. UC 10-0. They beat the Marshall's Thundering Herd 72-56. UK squeaked by Lipscomb 88-50. In the Gildan New Mexico Bowl, Arizona 49, Nevada 48. In the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Utah State 41, Toledo 15. Didn't Toledo beat the Bearcats?
Yes.
That's what I thought. This is a sad story. A Reds prospect, Mason Felt, critically injured in an auto accident in Texas. Also killed his 51-year-old father, Richard, a former L.A. Dodger. He's in critical condition after he flipped his F-150 trying to correct his steering after drifting off the side of Interstate 10. Wow, wow, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury, I am going all over the place musically this morning because I think it's appropriate. I'm playing songs basically intended for those that were lost in Connecticut, or to make us feel better, or to make us, you know, think. This is an incredible song for people. I mean, I think this is the best song written all time for those people who were young and have passed away. I dedicate it to all of the victims in Connecticut. It's the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Van Perry, If I Die Young. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. All right, I'm going to set the stage for my comments on the Sandy Hook shootings in Connecticut, which I gave starting the show at 6:05, and I'm going to deliver them again. But before I do, Garrett, why don't you just play the clips from whatever you want to there that we have for the ladies and gentlemen of the American Jury.
Okay.
Barack Obama at the memorial last night. Every time I hear a speaker speak at an event, which is such an opportunity, and it's blown, it drives me crazy. What else do we got, Garrett?
Piers Morgan on gun control.
We shouldn't have gave him the airtime. Do we have anything else?
Bloomberg on guns.
All right? Well, you got all the libs, don't you? Will you please cut off the mayor, please? Do you have any others? Any others?
Let's see,
Given
Bill Bennett.
You know, that is a perfect comment for me to pick up on, and here's the reason why. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, the principal wanted to stop him. The psychologist wanted to stop him. You cannot stop a man with a gun by lunging at him. Their conduct is noble, brave. They laid down their lives for those children. But it shows that they wanted to stop them. Will you give them what they need to stop them? And I'm going to go ahead and say it, folks. The well-intentioned and misguided are already blaming guns. Was there an officer or school official at the Connecticut school with a gun? No. Was there a gun in the possession of a school official in Virginia Tech? No. In the Colorado movie theater? No. How about the person who shot Gabby Giffords? How about the nut job in the Aurora, Colorado movie shooting? The Virginia Tech shooting and this one. Mentally ill people possessed by evil who could have been stopped before their killing began or before they killed so many if those people in charge of protecting the youngsters had a gun. The answer, America, is the allowance of trained possessors of firearms in schools, churches, hospitals, colleges, everywhere. Why? It's the only way to stop and reduce these events from happening. Excuse me for a minute while I mock the school districts of America, thinking that cameras and restricted doors and restricted access and so forth and so on are going to stop a mentally ill person with a gun. Now, I want to stress this. Those things are really good, in my opinion, what I've observed, to make sure that kids don't get picked up by the wrong person, get kidnapped, so forth and so on. Very good for that. But it's not going to stop a killer. A teacher or school official or school resource officer does stop them faster than a 911 call with a 10 to 15 minute response time. All the calls for national conversation and more bad policy do not prevent these attacks ever. This attack had nothing to do with gun laws. Nothing. He was a mentally ill nutcase, whack job. And I hate to say the book by the cover. Have you seen his photo? And did you see the photo of the Aurora guy? And did you see the photo of the Gabby Gifford shooter? I mean, these people, you just look at them and say, man, there's something wrong here. The mental health system is what should be under attack more than gun system. And you know, Senator Durbin states, we're going to have a hearing on the Second Amendment. I'm going to share some more commentary that'll just make you cringe. Furthermore, all of this, how do we understand this? What does this mean? How do we explain this? Makes me scream. You know what it means? You know how to get through it? It doesn't mean anything except it's a disgusting, sick, evil, terrible tragedy that makes all of us sick. And how do the victims and victim families and the community get through it? Anyone who's lost a loved one to a tragic accident or crime knows you have no choice. You just do. you find a purpose, and you carry on. And if you don't find a purpose or reason to carry on, either you check out or you recede in the depths of depression. There's no freaking meaning to a mass murder of children. There isn't anything to understand. There isn't any God in it. I want to tell you something, folks. I have experienced the horror of this thing twice. I experienced the horror of being told that your wife and the mother of your children has cancer, terminal cancer. I've experienced the horror of getting ready to leave my house when I hear my wife yelling and screaming that she got a phone call that her son was in a car wreck and being air carried. And as you know, he died. Well, how do you get through those things? I had 3 kids. Here's how you get through them. You just do. You ain't got any choice. That's how you do it. And anybody that's been through it knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know what? God bless those poor parents and siblings and grandparents and relatives and friends and classmates and community, because they need to cry out. They need to be angry. They need to wallow in their grief. Bury their loved ones. Pray. Be hugged. Loved. And yes, many will still need specialized medical care to make through it. I have a buddy of mine, a client, who lost his son in a bus wreck. And the preacher came up to him and put his arms around him and says, he's in a better place now. My buddy almost decked this preacher. In a better place now. Give me a freaking break. These folks are never going to be the same. They have to find purpose and reason to carry on, and may God and the community comfort them even when there are no words, deeds, or means to comfort them. And may the shooter burn in hell, mentally ill or not. I'm someone who believes that hell's reserved for serial killers, mass killers, pedophiles, rapists, murderers, and the like. And I hope I'm right. And I'm going to tell you something. Relative to, getting through it, all of the friends and neighbors and relatives and food and company and companionship and just being there works. It works. In America, we know how it's done. We are good at funerals and services and remembering and honoring and celebrating the lives of those we lose, regardless of the reason. And it's clear that this community is doing that. And they will do it well, and they will carry on, because they've got no choice. It's really so simple. I remember talking to a psychiatrist buddy of mine and asking him after my wife died, I said, well, what do I got to do for these kids? He says, they only need 2 things. They need to know that they're going to be okay, and they need to know that they're going to be safe and loved. I said, well, I'm doing that. He goes, Eric, true story, they don't need counseling. You're a great dad. You're doing everything that has to be done. They don't need counseling. None of my kids ever went to counseling. They lost their mother when they were 8, 7, and 5 to cancer, and not one of them went to counseling. And they all are okay. Now, does it mean that there aren't moments in their lives when they freaking think about their mother and get sad? Well, hell yeah. I do that when I think about my grandpa. And I love this quote from Auschwitz, and this is from, Bobby Kennedy said this after Martin Luther King was shot. I just love it. I love this quote. Even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until in our own despair against our will comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. People that know me, Chuck knows I've said this. My cousin Josh knows I've said this. When you're having to deal with something really bad, you know what my advice is? Waller in it. Waller, waller, waller. Until one day, you're sick of yourself for wallering. And then you can go on. Ladies and gentlemen, Class X Radio, Bulldog Nation, American Jury, this is Bob Dylan knocking on heaven's door on Class X Radio. Gail Collins, every country has a sizable contingent of mentally ill citizens. Yeah, we're the one that gives them the technological power to play God. This is all about guns access to guns, and ever-increasing firepower of guns. Really. He murdered his mom and stole her guns. A Tragedy of Silence. New York Times op-ed by Charles Blow. Hey, Charles Blow, Blow. Even if you believe, as most Americans do, that the Second Amendment grants Americans the right to bear arms, yes, it does. I tell you, Sean Maloney, my NRA buddy, would be proud of me today. One must acknowledge the right of other Americans to not bear arms and be safe. Yep, you have the right to not bear arms, and guess what? Every one of those school children, and every one of those teachers, and every one of those principals in Connecticut had the right not to bear arms. And look what happened. You see what I'm saying? Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine. As the top law enforcement officer in Ohio, DeWine has urged schools to file safety and floor plans with his office. He said the plans are critical to first responders during incidents like the shooting in Connecticut. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, if those safety and floor plans don't include a school resource officer or somebody with a gun, they are not going to do anything to help the first responders. And I'm sorry, folks, I hate the word first responders. I just hate it. First responders. First responders. Can't stand the word. I love me some firemen and EMT and local law enforcement, but I'm sorry, I don't like the word first responders. What else do we have? And if you've missed my rant, stick around for 8:05, and you are going to hear me relate some more things to you about this. Eastern Kentucky leads the nation in informants. 1 out of every 2.6 offenders gets a deal by informing on somebody. And did you hear this? This is funny. There are people that are in jail that pay money for information and then turn around and use that information to help them get out. 65-year-old Hillary Clinton is being monitored by doctors at home after she fainted and suffered a concussion. Clinton was reportedly dehydrated from a stomach virus she has been fighting and collapsed as a consequence. Well, Hillary, I hope you're all right. I got to stay home and take care of Hillary. I can't be out and about anymore. I can't go to my Harlem office. Can't hook up. Got to stay home and watch Hillary. People are watching me right now. I'll never forget Barack Obama announcing that these 1099 requirements between businesses was something we ought to probably get rid of. But you put it in the first place. Well, now, the death panel that Sarah Palin went after, House Democrats say the Independent Payment Advisory Board established under Obamacare should be put on the table as part of the fiscal cliff negotiations. Folks, we just continue to complicate the hell out of our country. And remember what complicated means. It means bad for you. In 2011 and 2012, the Obama administration failed to renew 2 Justice Department programs that had provided over $200 million to schools for training, security equipment, and police resources over the last decade. I'm going to tell you something, folks. I'm not complaining about that. That had nothing to do with the shooting in Connecticut. You see, I'm defending the Obama administration. Individual school districts should take care of everything. They should take care of their buses. They should take care of their kids. They should take care of their athletic programs. It's a local thing. That's why we don't need the National Education Association. That's why we do not need the Department of Education. That's why we don't need $200 million to fund schools for training, security equipment, and police resources. My God. Though Speaker John Boehner, according to Politico, has offered Obama a deal in which taxes would be raised on high income earners as long as the president would agree to entitlement reform, sources say the Democrats still aren't satisfied because the GOP won't agree to an increase in the debt ceiling. Just telling you logically, shouldn't it bother you that they are just absolutely enamored with we need more debt ceiling, we got to increase spending more. When's it enough for you? Kill the golden goose. I'm going to laugh like hell when the golden goose of American capitalism is killed by big government. And everyone that's getting some money from the government for sitting on their ass is going to sit around and say, where's my check? Where's my check? I'm going to say, what do you mean, where's your check? Didn't you hear? Everybody's freaking tired of giving you money. We've checked out. We don't have any more money to give, so therefore you're not going to get your check. Do you remember back in the day when the Bulldog was telling you back in 2012 that we better reform some things and change some things, or the day's going to come when you're not going to get your check? Yeah, I remember the Bulldog saying that, but I didn't really think it happened. Well, it freaking happened. And now you're SOL. That's what's going to happen, folks. And guess what? Now that Susan Rice has withdrawn her name, John Kerry is on deck to become the next Secretary of State. Wow. What a jackwagon he is. You know what? Maybe he'll, like, wind sail across the ocean to visit countries. Here's a funny stat. Obama's Ohio, he won only 17 of the 88 counties in Ohio. But he won the 6 most populated, including Hamilton County. What does that say? What does that say? What does that mean? And by the way, it was the same everywhere in America. The inner cities, look at the amount of money, federal money, state money, local money, free money. Where does it all go? Percentage-wise. And then ask yourself, why would they vote for this guy? Because of the money. Pro-union activist Reverend Charles Williams up in Michigan threatened Michigan Governor Rick Snyder over the right-to-work law, saying, if he signed the laws, we'll be at your daughter's soccer game, we'll visit you at church, we'll be at your office. Man, that is messed up. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, here's Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven, on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, if you've heard my rant at 6:05 and 7:05, the focus was on that we have to do what needs to be done to protect the innocents. And the only way to do that is to allow those people that are in positions to protect the innocents to protect them. You know, Bill Bennett pointed out how the teacher, a principal, and a psychologist lunged at the killer. Well, if they had a gun, they could have stopped the killer. They clearly wanted to stop the killer, right? Well, you know what? I love when revelations come to me and inspiration comes to me, and I am anxious to share this with you. So here we go. As you know, I like to say there's 2 kinds of people. And you can say that about all kinds of things. One day I think I'm going to write a book about there's 2 kinds of people. And then give all the examples that I've used over the years about the 2 kinds of people. You know, well, here are the relevant 2 kinds of people for the situation in Connecticut. Can we agree, because I think we can we agree that everyone in America, liberals, socialists, Democrats, Republicans, everyone is sickened by this shooting. Just like we were sickened by the Gabby Gifford shooting, the Fort Hood shooting, the Aurora movie theater shooting, the Virginia Tech shooting, all the shootings. They make us sick. They make us... I was physically ill on Friday. But you know what? Think about those movies that you see. And this comes up all the time in movies. It also comes up in real life, as demonstrated in what happened Friday in Sandy Hook. Do you remember those movies? And I hope a movie comes to mind to you as I'm talking about this right now, where there is a situation, there's an incident, something bad's going down, And you've got the individual who is upset about something's going down and scared something's going to go down, but they don't do anything about it. They can't do anything about it. Either their political thinking, they're just the way they are. And then there's the guy that wants to do something about it. You see it all the time. And you know how you're watching that movie and the wimps drive you nuts? I mean, you're sitting there thinking, shoot him, for God's sake, will you please just shoot him? And they don't shoot him. And then they get shot and killed. You know what I'm talking about. The person's holding the gun onto the guy. Yeah, you won't shoot me. And they don't shoot him. And then bored people die because somebody who had a chance to shoot him didn't shoot him. So you see, because there's two kinds of people in this world. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, there's the people who want to keep the schoolboy girls, keep all the little boys and girls in this country safe, and keep everybody safe in churches and hospitals and schools and everything. But they want to do it without doing it. They just want to wish it to happen. They just want it to be wished. You know what, folks? God did not wish Lucifer out of heaven. He said, Michael, come here, Michael. Archangel, come over here, Michael. Hey, Lucifer, out of here. I want you to kick his ass out of heaven. Michael the Archangel kicked Lucifer's ass out of heaven. Gone out of heaven. All right? God used Michael the Archangel. There is evil in the world. There are mentally ill people with guns, obviously. So you know what we need? We need people like me and Chuck Holbrook and others who, when they see something going down, react with adrenaline and pick up the gun, pick up the knife, pick up the bat, and act just like the principal did, just like the psychologist did. Unfortunately, they didn't have anything on them. Nothing on them. Heroes gave up their lives. But don't you wish they didn't have to give up their life? I do. There's two kinds of people in the world. People that act and people that don't. Everybody wants to keep our little school kids safe. But there's the group of people that wants to keep them safe without really giving the people something to keep them safe about are in la-la land. And people like me, let me tell you something, folks. No one loves kids like me. No one. I love children. I've coached them. I've raised them. I got grandchildren. You don't think that I want my children safe? It's just that I want them really safe. I want somebody with a freaking gun to blow away the next deranged, mental, evil-possessed person that tries to kill a kid. I want to tell you right now, if I was in that school that day, I wouldn't have just ran blindly at that guy. I would have probably found a freaking desk, flipped it over on its side, and just charged that son of a gun behind a freaking metal desk and hope he never got me before my desk got him. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, we can stop this. It's really simple. And I don't care what all the do-gooders want to say about gun control. Good people with guns kill bad people with guns. And again, as I said before, I'm going off my own list. I'm not focusing just on rock music. This is Alan Jackson, Remember When, on Class X Radio. On Xavier 7-2, UC's 10-0. You know how this game always goes. Based on the way it's gone in the past, you watch. X will end up upsetting UC for the first loss of the year.
No, come on. I think there'd be a better chance if what happened last year didn't happen. But I think that's still kind of stuck in the craw of the UC players. The blow, I mean, not just the fight. It has nothing to do with the fight from last year, but the blowout. The way they lost that game.
I heard rumors that there's going to be another fight.
I heard there's going to be fights in the stands.
I'm just teasing.
Buddies are all.
I have no information to base that on. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
No, you know what? Moving it to US Bank Arena is going to move the fight to the stands. Because you're going to get that now. You're going to get people going at it in the stands, and it's going to be nuts.
And you'd be happy to know that ESPN suspended that Rob Parker jackwagon for his RG3 Cornball Brother comments.
Well, they should have.
And the following players were named to ESPN's list of 100 greatest players of all time. Barry Larkin, Pete Rose, Ken Griffey Jr., Johnny Bench, Tom Seaver, Frank Robinson, and Joe Morgan. That's pretty cool. Well represented, the old red legs. All right, this is from People Magazine, which I get because I keep up on, you know, useless information as well. Ken Jennings was mom right. All right, here we go. The 5-second rule. Food hits the floor and lands on E. coli. It's contaminated no matter how long it's been there. There's no 5-second rule. Never wake a sleepwalker. Generally true, but not because the sleepwalker might get hurt, but because they might hurt you. Chicken soup helps a cold. True. It can act as an anti-inflammatory. Sugar makes kids hyper. Now this I don't believe. False. Some research has even found that sugar has a calming effect on younger kids. Don't buy that for a minute. Drink 8 glasses of water a day. False. Unless you have a medical condition like kidney stone, there's no need. We get enough liquid in our regular diet.
Really?
There you go.
See, I've tried to drink a lot more water.
By the way, drink a lot more water, you will lose weight. Your belly will feel full, you'll eat less, and you'll feel like you're full.
See, working at Coke, I gotta
drink Coke products.
Quit drinking.
Nike is pressing for a 40-year tax deal in Oregon. You know what this deal is? These are the kind of things that just make me ugh. They only get charged by the state of Oregon for their sales inside Oregon. They don't get charged for anything that they make outside of Oregon under this deal. And they want to continue that for 40 years. Now, here's the catch-22. I hate this stuff. I hate this corporate welfare. But, these states do this to each other. So if you don't do it for them, Nike can say, well, we might go down to up to Washington. Or we might go down to California. I mean...
Yeah. Threaten to leave because somebody will have them.
That's like a gun to their heads. And ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I just could not wait to share this story with you in the Wall Street Journal from the weekend. The economic crisis manager, Leswick Bolkowitz, is Poland's money guy. Poland was the only country in the European Union to avoid recession in 2009 and has been the fastest growing EU economy since. This is what this guy says. Most problems are the result of bad politics. In a democracy, you have lots of pressure groups to expand the state for reasons of money, ideology, etc. Even if there are angels in the government, which is not the case, if there is not a counterbalance in the form of proponents of limited government, then there will be a shift towards more statism and ultimately into stagnation and crisis. This, ladies and gentlemen, from the Polish economic advisor. I got to put more of that in my newsletter. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. Coming up, I'm going to give my analysis of the shootings in Connecticut after the top of the hour, and I've added a few things. I got some history for you about John Fremont, which I think you'll find entertaining. And in addition to that, I'm going to talk about Obamacare, and I have a very funny letter to Santa from Timmy. Actually, it's an exchange of letters between Timmy and Santa, which I think you'll find entertaining. At least I think you will. I expect you will. So what do you think, Garrett? Dana? Want to give Dana a try?
Should we tell the people, possible new traffic reporter?
Dana, my daughter's friend who just graduated from NKU in communications and marketing and could be a nice girlfriend for Garrett.
Hot and single.
You know, I'm not kidding you. You remember Elizabeth Montgomery?
No.
From Bewitched?
No.
Before your time. Have you ever seen the movie Bewitched?
No.
All right, she looks like her, in my opinion.
What's her name? Elizabeth? Is that
Montgomery.
A real name or the?
And I've got some big news here. All right, it used to be called the Southgate House down in Newport. It's now called the Thompson House. It's right across the street from the Newport Aquarium. Well, guess what, folks? On Saturday, February the 2nd, Saturday, February the 2nd, and I guess it'll be like, 9 o'clock. The show will start, I guess. I'm going to do my 4th comedy routine. How do you like that?
I'm going to be there front and center, baby.
You know, unlike the Funny Bone, they're giving me a weekend slot. So I'm excited about it. Get your tickets now. Saturday, February 2nd. The Bulldog Comedy Tour. We called it the Witty and Wise Tour. Will be appearing at the Thompson House in Newport. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I've kind of gone off the board, so to speak, for music today, and here's another great, great song for healing. This is Elton John. He wrote this for Marilyn Monroe, but you know what? Let's play it for the kids in Connecticut on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. I am wearing my Santa Claus socks. My Santa Claus socks. You know, this is funnier than hell, Garrett. I just realized we've not done a single traffic report this morning.
Oh, yeah.
And not one person has texted me to complain.
See.
But you want to give them a traffic report, give them a traffic report.
All right. Hamilton accident on Ronald Reagan near US 42 Reading Road. Montgomery accident, Highway 741 south of Austin Road. In Hamilton, accident with an injury on Erie Avenue at Brotherton. In Kenton, an accident on 7175 north at US 25 Dixie Highway. And then normal slow spots.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury. Remember, you can listen to Class X Radio every day on 88.9 or 89.1. You can also listen to us live on ClassXRadio.com, live TuneIn Radio, and the Class X Radio app. And also on BulldogsNation.com, we do a live video stream. We're back with our podcast and our live video stream. And in addition to that, you can text me at 859-250-2527 or email me at eric@ericdieters.com. If you've missed any of this information, you can find it out on ericdieters.com. And I welcome any ideas and thoughts that you have on the show. The big news, which has dominated since Friday, is the Sandy Hook shootings. And I think there's a lot of people that are well-intentioned and misguided. There was no officer, school official, school resource officer in the Connecticut school with a gun. There was no gun in the possession of a school official in Virginia Tech. There was no person with a gun in the mall where Gabby Giffords was shot. There was no person with a gun in the Colorado movie theater. All 4 of these people mentally deranged, possessed by evil. The only way they could have been stopped before their killing began or before they killed so many was someone shoot them. The answer, America, is the allowance of trained possessors of firearms in schools, churches, hospitals, colleges, everywhere. As Bill Bennett pointed out, the principal God lover lunged at the shooter, so did the psychologist. They were killed. So they wanted to stop them. They gave their lives up. Wouldn't it be better if the person trying to stop them had a gun? Of course it would. And you know what? I'm a pragmatic guy. You could have teachers who want to. Not every teacher's going to want to do this. I can tell you right now, if I was a teacher, I don't know how a teacher doesn't get a concealed carry and have a gun in their purse. But here's what you do. You have a gun with those code locks under the desk, or can only tell that it only fire when it's in their hand. And you know what? If somebody comes in that school, or just think if the people know that somebody comes in that school. Somebody out front, everywhere. Because the guy went through a side window. He goes through a side window, hello, those security cameras didn't do any good. And all these cameras, restricted doors, restricted access, so forth and so on, does not stop a mentally ill killer with a gun. And let me tell you something else I found out about consultants. Consultants will consult and tell you why you need all these things. Think of all the people getting rich on school security systems. And those systems might help a kidnapping or somebody in a custody battle from taking a child. It's not going to stop a killer. There's an old saying, if you ask a barber if you need a haircut, the answer will be yes. A teacher or school official or school resource officer can stop a killer faster than a 911 call with a 10 to 15 minute response time. And all the calls for a national conversation and more bad policy do not prevent these attacks. This attack has nothing to do with gun laws. Nothing. He was a mentally ill nutcase whack job. I hate to say this, but have you seen his photo? And did you see Gabby Gifford shooter's photo? And the Virginia Tech photo? I mean, you just look at these people and they're like, wow, scary. Senator Durbin states he's going to have a hearing on the Second Amendment. Are you kidding me? Furthermore, all this, how do we understand and what does this mean? Or how do we explain this? Makes me want to scream. You know what it means? You know how you get through it? It doesn't mean anything except it's a disgusting, sick, evil, terrible tragedy that makes all of us sick. I'm like you, I was physically sick Friday and I still am a little bit. How do the victims and victim families and community get through it? Anyone who's lost a loved one to a tragic accident or crime knows you have no choice, you just do it. I remember the phone call that came to my wife as I was getting ready to leave at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to go to a radio show, and she's screaming. She gets a call that her son has been air cared to University Hospital. Horror, 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 horror. You know what? You don't have any choice. Your loved ones help. Community helps. You just do it. You find a purpose and carry on. If you don't find a purpose or reason to carry on, you either check out or recede in the depths of depression. There is no freaking meaning to the mass murder of children. There isn't anything to understand. There isn't any God in it. But God will bless those poor parents and siblings and grandparents and relatives and friends and classmates and community. Let me share with you my religious beliefs. I am a Catholic. I still consider myself a Catholic. I also consider myself a Christian. All right? But I'm also a deist. I'm like Washington, Franklin, Jefferson. I believe in God, and I believe God sets things in motion. I do not believe God intervenes very often. Sometimes He does. Prayer, He can maybe intervene. But God generally has set things in motion, and we have free will, and things happen. And these folks need to just cry out and waller in their grief. Those that have heard me talk about this, that's my advice. You waller in it. You be angry. You let it rip. You scream out. You bury your loved ones. And by the way, having gone through this twice, the worst part is the time between the death and the burial. It's excruciating. After the burial, when you're done with that process, is when you can say, okay, how do I deal with this? Good golly, that's the worst time. So many of you dealt with this. You know what I'm talking about. But they need prayer. They need to be hugged. They need to be loved. And yes, many will need medication. It's pragmatic. They will never, ever be the same. Ever. My children were never going to be the same when they lost their mother. My wife's never going to be the same, nor other two children are never going to be the same. Losing Corey. Ever. They have to find a purpose and a reason to carry on. And may God and the community comfort them, even when there are no words, deeds, or means to comfort them. And may the shooter burn in hell. Burn in hell. Mentally ill or not. I'm someone who believes that hell's reserved for serial killers, mass killers, pedophiles, rapists, murderers, and the like. I hope I'm right. I offer up these words from Aeschylus. Even in our sleep, pain which cannot forget falls drop by drop upon the heart, until our own despair against our will comes wisdom through the awful grace of God. Those were the same words chosen by Bobby Kennedy the night Martin Luther King was shot. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, we need to protect our kids, and we protect our kids by being strong. By being strong. Not being wimps. Let's shoot the bad guys next time faster than they ever, even before they get off a round. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I'm going off the range a little bit for music this morning, and I tell you right now, there probably is no more beautiful song about loss and love than Bread, Everything I Own, on Class X Radio. Christmas is upon us, and I'm not ready. My goodness, I got to do. You know, it's like all of a sudden, Christmas is around the corner, 8 days away or 7 days away, and I'm like, man, just like December just started. Are you ready, Garrett?
For the most part, a lot ahead of the game, a lot more ahead of the game than I normally am. I'm usually a last weekend guy, but
well, thank goodness I do it that weekend. And that weekend's going to be crap. I'm going to focus on this week and knock her out.
Yeah.
You brought up this issue of Josh Brandt, the Dallas Cowboy defensive lineman who was driving the car where his teammate was killed, being on the sidelines in Dallas. Boomer Esiason went after him on this pretty good. You know what? I'm sorry, folks, but I take the lead of the family of the deceased. And this guy was the best friend of the deceased. And the mother of the deceased wanted the Cowboys and Josh Brandt to carry on. I mean, so, you know, isn't it more disrespectful not to honor the wishes of the family? I understand what everybody's saying. I don't think it's minimizing it. I really don't. It's just like anything. People carry on, and people carry on differently from, he's not playing. I know he's on the sidelines. I guess they could have kept him off the sidelines, I guess. You say he should have been off the sidelines.
It just felt too soon. It felt weird. And plus, the guy just comes off me as just this smug punk. And I know he just made this mistake. And
he may be.
Looks, you know, he's got the flat bill hat on, and he's laughing. It's like, God, it's just something about that rubs me the wrong way. And I thought it was way too soon. It's like, man, maybe you ought to look yourself in the mirror after you do something like that and see that something has to change. Maybe quit dressing like a thug. And, you know, I know you're on the sidelines of a football game, so you're wearing a hoodie and jeans or whatever you're in, but just something bothers me about it, and it did a lot of people.
Well, let me tell you something that bothered Santa Claus. Timmy Jones's letter. I got this straight from the North Pole. They sent me this series of letters. Dear Santa, how are you? How's Mrs. Claus? I hope everyone from the reindeer to the elves is fine. I've been a very good boy this year. I would like an Xbox 360 with Call of Duty 4 and an iPhone 4 for Christmas. I hope you remember that come Christmas Day. Merry Christmas, Timmy Jones. Dear Timmy, thank you for the letter. Mrs. Claus, the reindeer, and the elves are all fine, and thank you for asking about them. Santa's a little worried all the time you spend playing video games and texting. Santa wouldn't want you to get fat since you have indeed been a good boy. I think I'll bring you something you can go outside and play with. Merry Christmas, Santa Claus. Mr. Claus, seeing that I have fulfilled the naughty versus nice contract set by you, I might add, I feel confident that you can see your way clear to granting me what I've asked for. I certainly wouldn't want to turn this joyous season into one of litigation. Also, don't you think that a jibe at my weight coming from an overweight man who goes out once a year is a bit trite? Respectfully, Tim Jones. Mr. Jones, While I've acknowledged you have met the nice criteria, need I remind you that your Christmas list is a request and in no way is it a guarantee of services provided. Should you wish to pursue legal action, well, that is your right. Please know, however, that my attorney's the Bulldog and have been on retainer ever since the Meisterburger incident and will be more than happy to take you on an open court. Additionally, the exercise I alluded to will not only improve your health, but also improve your social skills and potentially help clear up a complexion that looks like the bottom of the Burger King fry pan most days. Very truly yours, S. Claus. Now look here, fat man. I told you what I want and I expect you to bring it. I was attempting to be polite about this, but you brought my looks and my friends into this. Now you're just disrespecting me. I'm about to tweet my boys and we're going to be waiting for your fat ass, and I'm taking my game console, my game, my phone, and whatever else I want. Whatever I want, man. T-bone. Listen, Pizza Face, seriously. You think a dude that breaks in every house in the world on one night and never gets caught sweats a skinny G-banger wannabe? He sees you when you're sleeping, he knows when you're awake. Sound familiar, genius? You know what kind of resources I have at my disposal? I got your stuff wired, Jack. I go all around the world and see ways to hurt people. That and to describe them right now. You throw up your Totino's pizza all over the carpet of your mom's basement. You're not getting what you asked for, but I'm still stopping by your crib to stomp a mud hole in your ass and then walk it dry. Chew on that, Petunia. S. Clizzy. Dear Santa, bring me whatever you see fit. I'll appreciate anything, Timmy. Timmy. That's what I thought, you little bastard.
That was pretty good. Who wrote that?
I don't know. Bulldog Nation member Jeff sent that to me.
That's pretty good.
And I had to share that because that was pretty good.
What's his name?
S. Clizzy.
S. Clizzy. What's a badass?
You know,
that is good.
You know what, man? When you really think about it, why would you ever pick a battle with Santa, man?
Yeah, that's true. He does know when you're...
Like Santa Claus says. He sees when you... I just snorted on the radio. When he sees when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. Not good, baby.
He's got your house wired.
Got your house wired. By the way, we've already bought a significant gift for little Riley and Reagan, and I was told, we still got to go to Toys R Us. I said, what for? Well, we got to get him some stuff to open. I'm thinking to myself, my God. Well, I can't say that. She might be listening.
I highly doubt it. She's at school? She old enough for school?
No, she's not at school yet. She's only 18 months or 19 months. She might be listening, and she'll go, Pop, Pop. You know, she FaceTimes us. It's so cute.
Really?
Pop, Pop. This is funny. We went to that graduation party that day, and I hadn't seen Riley for a few days. I know how to get her every time, and I said, this was kind of mean actually because I didn't have any on me. I said, would you like some gummies? She stops and she makes this biggest smile on her face. And I said, well, I don't have some gummies now, but I'll get you some. Oh my goodness gracious. Boy. She loves her gummies, and she loves her Pop Pop and her Mimi. Just so sweet. By the way, you know, this Connecticut school shooting, you know, my wife, who's smart, she says, you know what, the objectification of girls in high school and everything else, you know, she said that she just wants to homeschool Riley and Reagan for Charlie Ann and Chad. Well, after that shooting, Charlie Ann's like, can we live on a gated farm and Mary homeschool the girls? That's what you think, man.
Yeah. You just never know when something like that's going to pop up, and it's going, no matter what you do, no matter what you do about mental health, no matter what you do
let me just share.
There are going to be every 6 to 8 months.
Let me share something with you about I learned in martial arts in karate class from Bill Dimitri. And I need to do. I ought to remember this because I've lost that awareness that I once had, really, because I don't focus on it. Man, when I was into that, it's called being aware of all your surroundings at all time, because you never know when you're going to get jumped. You never know when somebody's going to come at you, and you got to be prepared and be able to react. Yeah. And you practice all those things, so when you have to do them without thinking, you do them without thinking. You don't say, oh, what do I do here? I block and I punch. No, no, no. You just got to freaking block.
All right, let's
let's play a song.
If say somebody walked into this studio
let's do that
now with a gun.
Hold on to that. We come back to it. We got to play this song. Ladies and gentlemen, American Jury, I've been playing songs for the kids in Connecticut, and we've played some great ones. This is about love and breaking up and everything, but you know what? It's a heart-wrencher, so I dedicate this song, another song, to the kids in Connecticut on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Everybody enjoyed, I think, the Timmy letter to Santa Claus. There's pretty good stuff in it. Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury, I'm honored to have in the studio a unexpected guest, how should I say this, I wouldn't go as far as saying an icon, but a major figure in radio,
Thank you.
And the Tri-State.
I've been here the whole time.
And Jamie Schloy.
Oh.
How you doing, Jamie?
Good. Great, Eric. Good to see you on the radio.
The guy looks like Rich Moranis, as you'll be able to see from the video.
That's right.
And I want to just say one thing about Jamie Schloy. He was smart enough
Here we go.
to put me back on the air ASAP after I left the big one.
Within 3 days, we gobbled you up right away.
You are a visionary.
It was,
and I will always be grateful for that. You know, the people that I'm the most grateful in radio is Willie, because I wouldn't have been on the radio over there, and even Daryl Petoskey, to be honest with you, because he let it happen. He was the program director.
Yeah.
Also, you.
Thank you.
And also Bill Spry, who was smart enough to put me on the radio right away when I left the other place. But what are you doing these days?
Well, you know what? After 30-some-odd years schlepping spots in the broadcast industry, working for a variety of call letters whose call letters I won't name here.
Thank you very much.
You know, but the little one was one of them. For many years in Reds and Bengals, I finally decided to put up my own shingle and start my own ad agency. And one of my favorite accounts, a great friend John Oslika, is now the sponsor of your show, Window World.
I love John Oslika. Nice. Window World. I like his haircut.
Yeah.
I like his attitude. I like his politics. I like his policy. I like his company. I like his windows. I like him.
And he's a #1 fan of your show.
I love old Oslika. Well, that's a good thing. You know what? As Virgil said, fortune favors the bold. So why not work for yourself? It's scary as hell, but why not? And you got so many contacts, and you know how to do it.
I love it. I'm in my pajamas at 9 o'clock in the morning with a cup of coffee, sitting in front of the iMac, having a good time.
There are certain people that don't mind asking for business. I mean, I like putting things out there so people come to me, but then it's tough to just cold call but working contacts is a different ballgame. I don't mind working contacts.
No, I think if you approach it as though you genuinely and sincerely want to help people with their business, it becomes easy at that point.
Now, you're a history buff, and you've seen Lincoln twice. I've seen it once. I got to get my dad to see it. Maybe I'll do that this week. But you love history as much as I do, and you gave me that great book about the interesting days of history.
Yes.
You know the thing, I'm going to just share with you, and you can share with me. Everybody take something different away from Lincoln. The thing, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can take away from Lincoln, his humor, wit, and everything else. The one thing that struck me, and I already knew this, but the movie kind of brought it out to me is, you know, he had wit, he had humanity, he had all those things. He worked so hard. And I was hoping it would rub off on our president, but I don't think so.
He was like you, but didn't you love that touching scene where he actually lays down next to his son in the fireplace?
Yep.
Cuddles up with him.
Yep.
That was so human.
Yep.
And the thing I didn't know historically, evidently was accurate, is that the Confederacy did send a contingency for people, including the Vice President of the Confederacy, up to try to negotiate for peace to prevent the Emancipation Proclamation from ever being signed into law.
And the guy, that actor that played Alexander Stevens, if you pulled up a picture of Alexander Stevens, dead on. It was freaking
A lot of those actors look just like
I was like, oh my God, that looks like Alexander Stevens.
How about Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Oh my, you felt like you were watching Lincoln.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
And how about the character that was played by the Boston legal actor
Tommy Lee Jones?
No, not Tommy Lee Jones. The three guys that were going out trying to buy votes with job positions.
Yeah, James Spader.
James Spader's character role was hilarious.
And dead on.
Dead on Spader. I mean, it was just like he could play that role just from the Boston legal spot.
But I think
selling positions, well, you know, government's allowed to do that, bribing people with positions.
That's the way things were done back there.
Right.
What other surprises were in that movie to you? Things that you didn't already know?
You know what? I'm not trying. There was a lot that I kind of already knew. There's one thing that I learned recently by I'm reading William Seward's biography, and there's one thing that I learned from reading that is, not his biography, this Time Magazine or something did a special on Lincoln on leadership, and I'm reading that. And I learned something from that I never, I'm sure I read it, but it didn't sink in. When he ran for Congress, and he won, and then he lost. Okay, he ran as a Whig, then he lost. And he opposed the New Mexican War. Zachary Taylor, who was the Whig that succeeded Polk, he came in after Polk did, okay? Taylor offered him the governorship of the Utah Territory.
Wow. Did not know
and he turned it down.
Did not know that.
He decided to turn it down, and I thought to myself, now that would have been, history would have been different.
Completely different.
If he would have taken that job, that political job of the Utah Territory.
Well, if he hadn't gone to the theater that night, think of how history would have been different had Lincoln continued his presidency.
Right. Well, Reconstruction wouldn't have been as screwed up as it was.
No, absolutely. Bulldog, you know where I'm going for Christmas?
Where are you going for Christmas?
I'm going to
Gettysburg?
Alexandria, Louisiana, the home of my new son-in-law. And you know, they don't call it the Civil War down there. They refer to it as the War of Northern Aggression.
Well, you know what? For the Southerners, that was a war of Southern aggression.
Yeah. That distasteful
Speaking of Louisiana, I watched the biography of Huey Long the other night.
Oh, man.
And everything that came out of his mouth, Barack Obama 2012. I mean, this is not new. Whoa. This class warfare stuff. Scary, scary, scary.
What's Hillary doing?
Hillary's going to run 20. You know what? Can you imagine, Jamie? Hillary's looking at what happened in 2012.
Yeah.
How can she not look at what happened in 2012 and see it didn't matter? That record didn't matter. And no, who voted for Barack Obama? Think about this. Who voted for Barack Obama? Who wouldn't vote for Hillary? And then there's a lot of people that didn't vote for Barack Obama that would vote for Hillary because of the woman issue. The media gave us the first black president, they'll give us the first woman president. In my humble opinion, there's no way Hillary loses. I mean, you say that no way, but I'm just telling you, I don't know how Hillary loses unless the Barack Obama people don't accept her and that machine gets behind somebody else. But first person that he called after the concession speech from Romney was Bill Clinton, and apparently that has been healed, and Bill Clinton's in the club car, and it's like, how does he not, you know, Barack, I did a lot for you 2012. I think you ought to come on board with Hillary. Don't you think? You're first black president. Let's go out like the first woman president. You know what, Barack? We'll appoint Michelle anything she wants.
Your Clinton has gotten a lot better, I can tell you that. That sounds fantastic. But
all right.
Who in the heck
Who
in the hell are the Republicans going to put up against her?
The Bulldog!
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, every dog has their day. I hope today and tomorrow is yours. We'll be back tomorrow with our own version of Radio Superbity. I love you, Bulldog Nation. Hang in there. It's Monday. It sucks. We'll all get through it together on Class X Radio.